feel like that's a flex just on its own, that like you have a profile when they look you up on IMDb.
Yeah, I watched it in the theater, so way back then.
They had movie theaters
back then. Even the movie theaters didn't have the sound we have today.
It was like a nickel to get in.
Yeah, it was like, yeah. Oh wow, Andrew, really wow.
But it was edited very fast, but super clear.
I still watch that old one every time it's on TV. I do it on a random Saturday because, again, it takes me back to great times.
Man.
Hey, man, I walked in here and saw Batman everywhere, and I knew I was home.
Welcome to Backseat Directing.
Where we talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew
and Aaron.
We put out new episodes every Monday and Thursday.
And on this episode, we're going over Bad Boys.
3, 2, 1, action.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Come on, man. We gotta learn the lines.
I love
One day.
All right, Andrew, today we have a special guest on the podcast. This man's been in video production for 32 years. He makes us look young.
No, you are young.
So video production for 32 years. This guy has multiple documentaries on Amazon. He has ran podcast conventions. He's been a podcast coach, has his own podcasts in the day. He's all over podcasts, videos, movies. So I'm very excited to have Niel Guilarte on our podcast.
Applause. Thanks, guys.
I feel like that's a flex just on its own, that like you have a profile when they look you up on IMDb.
Yeah,
That's pretty sick.
I don't know, either that or it makes you the old guy. Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course. He has a full Wikipedia page that's filled out by him.
Yeah. Me and my kid. Daddy, you need to be cooler.
A weekend project.
Been around a while, man.
Well, yeah, welcome
Excited
to the
to be here.
podcast.
Thank you.
Neil, what are some of your favorite movies, your favorite shows?
God, man, I just turned 50, right? So when I think of movies, my mind goes straight to like the 80s, the movies that weren't so great, right? So I'm a big Back to the Future. Well, let's be honest, right? There's like real movies.
According to Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, there's like, the Godfather movies, and then me, I'm like Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Fun movies, 90s movies, Rocky.
What do you think is definitively the best 80s movie? That's like a tough question to put you on.
Dude, man, I mean, 16 Candles kind of takes it for the ladies. For me, I mean, God, I don't know. That's a hard question, bro.
Do you have like
There's a lot of movies. So like,
a lot of movies to go through in a moment, right? As soon as we start. Thanks.
Do you like John Hughes?
I do like John Hughes, but I mean, the thing about me is I've always been into cars, right? And I've always been into action. So anything that was like, action. I mean, when Rocky came out, it's one of probably the first movies I remember like leaving with an emotional response where I walked out like wanting to box or air box, but I love movies of all types, man.
It's weird for me. I remember doing that with The Fighter, which is like I feel like a weird movie because it's so dramatic. But me and my friends left that movie and we were like,
you started hitting a
heavy bag and like messing. Yeah.
Well, that's how you know when a movie touches you, right? It makes you want to like do what it is. Fast and the Furious makes you want to drive fast when you leave the movie theater. So I just think you remember that one.
The parking lot after Fast and the Furious. Don't park in the back.
Where's my green Eclipse?
Dude, that's kind of how I felt. That's how I felt after watching the Batman because I live like 40 minutes away from the theater that we go.
Beating up this guy in the parking lot. All he did was litter. Aaron KO'd him.
Wow.
I'm gonna clean up this city.
I really enjoyed that new Batman.
Oh yeah, it was so good, man.
Didn't think I was gonna.
Movies for sure.
Yeah.
All the Batman movies, man.
Hey man, I walked in here and saw Batman everywhere, and I knew I was home.
Yes.
This is the podcast for me.
Andrew and I were talking too that we need to get some other posters in here that aren't just Spider-Man and Batman, but like
No, you don't.
Why?
We have two more on the way.
No, you don't.
Spider-Man and Batman.
Yeah, those are Batman, Iron Man, and Spider-Man are my favorite, which is funny because growing up, everyone was Marvel.
Yeah.
And I was a kid in school that got beat up because I only like Batman because he's all and because he's not, dressed like a colorful flag. He's all black. And that's what I love. That's what made me love him the most was he was so different.
I love hearing you say that because the reason there's Batman, Spider-Man in here is because Spider-Man is Aaron's favorite superhero, and Batman is my favorite
And that
superhero.
makes you the better of the two
Yes,
votes.
thank you, thank you.
One day.
Yeah, I know.
We'll help you. We'll help.
Spider-Man,
But hey,
we,
across Spider-Verse,
too.
it's
Yeah.
it's a good entry.
No, I love
into
Spider-Man. I
Yeah.
love what they're doing with the current ones too. You know, like I didn't think I was gonna love the whole Miles Morales thing, but I just saw the new one and it's blown away.
Seriously,
Blown away.
It's hard when they make like a new character off
Yeah.
of the character that you've
Off of a legacy.
fallen in love with.
Absolutely.
But they nailed it.
But
They nailed it.
I do want to get us back onto Bad Boys. But my question for you, because when we have a guest on the show, we always we ask them to suggest a topic, and sometimes people are hesitant to suggest a topic. You landed on Bad Boys, so
yeah, right away.
Like, what does the Bad Boys mean to you that you chose?
Listen, man. So Bad Boys came out in '95. I think I graduated in '91, right? So I was just coming out at kind of in college, and that was a movie like that reminds me of Friends. It was back when I watched movies with my friends versus just at home, and that was just a movie that was mindless to us. It was mindless fun. We used to, like I said before, we were on rolling on camera. We used to just get like donuts, big jug of cold milk, sit and watch Bad Boys. As dumb as that sounds, but that was our bonding time. And so when he was like, you know, we could talk about this and that, and every podcast I've been on has been about my career or film, which I love talking about. But I was like, you know, but I want to have fun. Let's talk about something that puts a smile on my face. And the entire Bad Boys franchise I love. But number one is just, to me, it reminds me of good times, donuts, cold milk, and no responsibility.
Yeah.
Kind of like this podcast.
Yeah.
Good times.
I'm just kidding. No, that's sometimes it's hard to beat the first entry
Yes.
in a franchise just because of all the memories that you have with
Absolutely.
it. You know, even if maybe some of the other movies are better stories or something, it's hard to just beat that nostalgia of the
100%.
memories that you have with the first installment of a movie.
We talk a lot about the way that your experience viewing a movie like affects how you feel about it, your memories towards it. Because Aaron's always talking about Zootopia. He had like a really good time watching that with his wife.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I was watching this movie, I hadn't seen Bad Boys 1 in a long time. I will say that when the movie started out, I was like, man, this is like the cheesiest of the cheesy. This is Michael Bay at his Michael Bay-est.
Yes, it was.
And then like somewhere around like the halfway point of the movie, I was like, man, like I'm invested in this. It reminded me of like, so this is the kind of movie my grandfather loved. My grandfather
Thanks.
passed away.
No, I'm not offended at all.
Not because it came out in 1995, but my grandfather he liked cheesy comedies like Dumb and Dumber, and he liked like explosive action movies like Expendables, Bad Boys. I used to sit and watch these kind of movies with him like all the time. I love Transporter. I love Jet Li movies. We used to watch all kinds of Jet Li movies.
Jet Li.
And this movie reminds me of like why I love those movies. And it can be cheesy at times, but like there was a point later in the movie where they like shoot up the hotel lobby.
Yeah.
And they shoot like one of the doormen, and I thought it was Chet, and I was like, no. Yeah. And I was like, and they showed Chet, and I was like, oh, Chet's okay.
Yeah, no, and at that time, my sister lived on South Beach, and I was at the time young and starting my career in video, and I always wanted to work in Miami, right? And I love Porsche. I love exotic cars, right? So this movie just had like a little bit of everything. And let's be real, it had two African-American and major roles at the time. That wasn't really happening in the action world. Will Smith coming right off of television, that kind of made him a star. It was just a lot happening at the time. And it mixed all my favorite stuff. The music is cool. Like, you know, come on. It's filled with...
Yeah, definitely.
I think the stars here are honestly like the saving grace of this movie.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I think Martin Lawrence and Will Smith kind of put this movie on their back in a way. They just have so much star power, the two of them. I mean, Martin is endlessly funny. Like you can't stop this guy. I was looking through kind of some research about the movie, and Michael Bay hated the script apparently.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
said
I
it
read
was-
something like that too.
I think he said it was a piece of shit. That was what he said about the script. And he said it was a really like a labor of love making this movie, trying to work around the script, he like let them improv somewhat. And these are both two like very not just talented but very comedically talented actors.
Improvs are a thing.
Oh my gosh. They like the line that I laughed at the hardest in the movie when he's like, back up and get me some Bubblicious. He's like, and some Skittles. Like that's the scene that like they added to the script like after the fact. So like
And the police chief too. Like he brought so much balance to this craziness that they have.
Joe Pantoliano. I like him. I
love him
a lot.
All right, so let's kind of move into some of the facts about the movie here, and then we'll get into our ratings and stuff. So, movie came out in 1995, like we said. I was not born yet.
Wow.
Me neither.
Exit stage, right? I was like 21.
Neil was our age. Rated R. It's an hour and 59 minutes. IMDb has it rated a 6.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes for the critics has it at a 43% with only 67 reviews. And then the audience score has it at a 78% with over 250,000. So for those, remember for the Rotten Tomatoes, that's how many people would recommend the movie.
Yeah.
So critics did not really like this movie, but it seems like the audience thought it was a fun movie.
That's how you always know.
You know,
critics, you always go with what the audience likes.
Yes, definitely. So let's kind of go into our ratings for the movie.
Yeah.
What Andrew and I do for rating movies is to try to help take out our bias, especially if it's something that we just watched. We break it down into categories and use those categories to develop our score. So we have story, acting, cinematography, sound design, set and character design, and then rewatchability. So 6 categories that total up to give us our score.
And just for the audience, before we start giving our scores, I do want to say that we're planning to go through our ratings. We're going to talk a little bit more about the movie, and we have a fun game plan for the end of the episode too. Yes. Just so you guys know what to expect, we're going to do a movie card draft based on like real possible cars, and I just want to give a heads up because I'm excited for that part at the end.
I was excited until they shot down every car that I texted them. Just saying, just for the record. Now that we're in person. Thanks a lot, guys. Half my list was gone in 30 seconds.
I'm going to burn my list to the ground and build it back up.
Literally.
All right. So the first one is story. This is the writing, the overall theme of the movie. This is out of 10 points. Some of our categories are out of 5. This one's out of 10. Neil, I want you to go first on this one.
Okay. So just off of what Andrew said, it's fact. It doesn't have the best storyline, and it wasn't supposed to have it. I think it was just supposed to be a fun movie. I think that they were focused on introducing Will Smith as a star, to be truthful with you, and banking off the success of Martin. So literally, even without a story, you put those two together, I think they felt like we'll get something amazing. So, but I think it had a fun story. I think it kind of established a new world, right? No one really looked at Miami as the big place to shoot an action film like this, right? You think LA, New York. Yeah. So Philadelphia. So I think for a story, I probably have to hit it a little lower. I think I'm going to be down in the 6s as far as like, was this a story that like made me feel anything? Not really. It made me laugh a lot.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to be in the lowers. I'd probably be in the 6 as far as story, personally.
Okay, 6 out of 10. I also gave it a 6 out of 10 for pretty much all the same reasons. It wasn't anything overly emotional. There wasn't a ton of character development. One thing I remember when I first watched this was it was interesting that our first time being introduced to these characters, they were basically playing each other's characters.
Yes, they were flipping it.
And I thought that was a cool concept, but maybe for a sequel. Once we've already spent so much time with our characters and we got to see Will Smith be the Will Smith and and so I figured that would be better for a sequel. So that's kind of where I'm going.
That's a really interesting take, because I took it as what a creative way to show that like they're bros and they'll do anything to protect one another as cops. So I kind of almost saw the reverse of that. I thought like, wow, these guys from day one, it's showing that no girl, nothing gets between their bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt kind of the same as Aaron, and I ended up giving it a 5 out of 10 for a lot of the same reasons you guys have already said. But I felt similar to Aaron that like at around the 30-minute mark of the movie, they're already trading personalities, and I had seen Bad Boys 2 a lot, so I knew what their personalities were. And like you said, building off Martin, like he is a family guy in Martin. Will Smith is obviously coming in with the cool factor. So it's obvious from the beginning and even from the opening scene, their personalities. But I did feel like it was maybe at least if they waited till like the hour and a half mark of the movie to really settle them into their roles before the switch.
Yeah. Our next category, Neil, is acting. So delivery on the story, like the personal flair that all the characters bring in. And something that I keep in mind when scoring this is that it's not just the main actors that we're ranking, it's the whole movie's performance. You want to go first on this one?
Yeah, so I have a unique kind of angle on that one. So
this one's out of 10 as well.
Yeah, I feel that they both came from television. So just automatic first major movie for them, so their acting obviously won't be the best. So, but I think that they created those characters and made them believable to me. Who I really liked as far as the actor was Chet, the doorman. I like the police chief, because I felt like they balanced them out, and wherever they lacked, the other cast kind of rose up. They didn't really care too much for like the wives and stuff. They didn't bring too much to the table. So I would probably again rate it a little low if we were looking at, acting quality and capability. I'd probably again be in the range of about a 6. But I felt like they established the characters. They're still memorable to me to this day. So they obviously did a good job.
Well, like you said about this movie too, a plus you can say about this movie is it wasn't trying to be anything that it wasn't.
Thank you.
They didn't try to have the characters like give these Oscar performances or try to act. The movie was for fun, and they treated it like it was for fun. I definitely think they had a good time on set. So
For sure.
even if the acting is a 6, which I'm jumping you, but that's the exact same score I gave it, it's not like necessarily a knock on the movie, because it was still fitting for what they set out to make.
Another place. They were working in another space,
Yeah, I'm in the same ballpark as you guys. I have it as 6.5. I think maybe I'm just a notch
You could do
above.
0.5s. You didn't tell me that.
0.5s.
Aaron
Do whatever. And we did 0.25s and stuff too.
Yeah,
if you want.
I
Yeah.
thought we were even numbering this. But
My bad.
I literally almost always do even numbers, but Aaron does a lot of.
I feel kind of cheated.
No, sorry. I forgot to explain that part. Yeah, whatever number you want between.
Yeah, it's your show, your rules.
0
I got it, buddy.
But yeah, I have like that 0.5 just because like I had a lot of fun. I think they were really funny. I think their chemistry going back and forth is hilarious. Growing up, I've always wanted like that best friend that you just kind of go back and forth with these one-liners. Yeah,
Exactly.
So much fun. Our next category, Neil, is cinematography. This is probably my favorite category. Like being in film. And this includes kind of a lot. This is like composition. This is special effects, VFX, basically anything that you're seeing in the camera. Camera movement is a big one that Andrew really looks for.
What about blocking? I feel like blocking is even a part of it too.
Yeah, definitely. I think that kind of fills in, or it goes with like the composition of things,
for sure. The
how they
overall.
direct your eye. So I'm excited to hear what you have for this one. This out of 10.
Even more in
have
other
0.5s.
Bad Boys films, but I felt like this is where I first got to see I love directors that create tech for a movie, right? So this is one of the first movies where he was using the crash car with the camera inside of it, so cars can literally go over it and things like that. So I looked at stuff like that, like the way he was putting the camera, putting us in the action as much as possible, considering the budget for the movie. So I liked it for that. I felt like movies for so long growing up were so professional and so cinematic.
Yeah.
I grew up with the big directors of the day. So to see someone, like you said best, just having fun, I felt like they even shot it like that. Let's put a camera in a cage and let cars run over it, et cetera, et cetera. However, I also like the parts where they slowed the movie down and they started showing Miami off. I like the way they marketed a city without, like, indirectly. So it was a mixture for me. So I'm going to give it a little higher. I think the blend to me is like a 7.5 in the sense that I didn't see anything that made it a 10 to me, in the sense like this was a cinematic, amazing movie. It was just fun. I felt like they broke a lot of cameras to give me the fun that I got. But I did like the way they indirectly marketed the city and the way they used the helicopter a ton.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like a 7.5. Could have been an 8, but.
It's blowing my mind how close your scores are coming out to my scores.
Well,
I do feel like you love
got
this.
them outside of the show. You already told me.
Like you yeah. Because like I do think you love this movie more than I do, but like you're being very objective about it. So I don't know if I have as much of an ability to be objective.
Well, he said like separate the bias. Like I can tell you, I've seen it 150 million times. Yeah, and I love the movie, but on your podcast, I'm trying to give the best answers. Right?
I'm impressed. Yeah. It's tough to be objective when it comes to something you love that you've been watching for a long time. It really is.
So I actually have this one a little bit higher than you, Neil. I have it an 8.5.
Okay.
I just really love the camera movement, the lighting on the scene. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. They go back from like a very warm scene and then they switch to a very cool scene. Got the yellow lights and then the teal lights. It's just back and forth. It's really cool. I really like the editing in the opening sequence when they're robbing the cocaine out of the police station.
Yeah.
It was
all blue.
Yeah, it was all blue, but it was edited very fast. but super clear. Like I could understand exactly what was happening. The shots weren't on the screen long, but they were.
Yeah.
I could understand what was going on. You know, like it wasn't a lot of like shaky cam or anything. And like you said, a lot of POV shots. So I just think there's a lot of creativity in the movement of the character, the lighting and stuff. So that's why I gave it an 8.5. What'd you give it, Andrew?
So I ended up giving it a 7, and I feel like there are points where I think the cinematography is a little bit ordinary, but there are also points where I think it's really elevated. So that's where I balanced it out to the 7. Maybe I could even go a little bit higher in retrospect, but I really liked the shot at the end that's attached to the side of the car as the car is crashing. Super cool. It reminded me of like maybe some inspiration for the Batman later on. They have a lot of shots fixed to the cars in that movie. And then those like big arcing swinging shots of the Marcus and Marcus and Mike.
Mike Lowry.
Mike Lowry.
Play it.
But those arcing shots I feel like are so indicative of those movies. Like they use them in the other movies as well, I believe. And I just feel like they have like a really cool cinematic feeling of like the movement of the camera across them makes them feel really big and heroic, like they're about to do something.
Parallax shots that you're talking about, that's like Michael Bay's signature.
He
does those like so well. Like there's after one of the fight scenes or chase scenes at the end and the guy got away, both the main characters stand up and the camera's just zooming past them. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like
bad boy shot.
Yeah, like a lot of films would just have like a push in or something, you know, and this is more. That's what I try to emulate when I'm filming things, you know, just those quick camera movements. Just
I told you recently we were on a production. I said the bad boy shot, and you know exactly what I meant. And the fact that
got you say less.
The fact that it's that iconic.
The fact that it has a name and we recognize it as cinematographers. What does that tell you? You know, but I'm with you in the sense that it was supposed to be ordinary, though, right? And then you got a bit of that Michael Bay style.
Yeah, maybe it's more ordinary in the ordinary scenes, and then that like the action has those bigger, more memorable shots. I mean, there's even a scene. It's just a conversation between him and the woman they're protecting, where the camera kind of arcs over the top of them as they're laying on their backs on the bed. And I love top-down shots, so like I thought that was really cool to get to see the camera's journey from his position to lying down when he laid down. So I think that they took some swings with the shots, and that there was some really cool ones in there.
Definitely. Our next category, Neil, is again out of 10. It's sound design. This is soundtrack. This is Foley work. This is you know the. What was I'm trying to think of here? So we have soundtrack and then score. Yep. So kind of all of that goes into play here. I mean, we get to hear a lot of cars, you know, revving up, you know, so I know that's your thing. So Neil, what do you give this?
Okay, this one I'm going to give it a lot. I'm going to give it an 8.5. Before you wonder why, it's like this. First of all, it had to capture Miami. So it had that 90s Miami soundtrack, which I love, right? Very club vibe. But at the same time, if you listen to the sound design when they're shooting him up and when she's in the lobby and they're taking her for the first time, they're blasting, you don't just hear the guns. They have like slowed sounds, and they created an ambiance. They created a weird noise that just made you realize something's going wrong really bad. But then they cut to the scene where he's running on top of a car chasing. So sound design I thought was amazing. Soundtrack, it's not an amazing score. I thought it was a really great 90s soundtrack, right? To kind of blend it and sell Miami the way they did. It also made a lot of stars some money. But I mean, other scenes are like the Porsche at the very, very beginning. If you listen, I always tell people when I talk about sound design, I talk about the first few minutes of Bad Boys when he's pulling up and they're getting ready to rob the two cops. Even down to when he breaks the car, you know, listen really close on a good system. It's amazing. So I'm going to give it an 8.5 on mix and feel, and making me feel the world that they're in. I felt very in there.
A lot of people might not realize, if they're not in production a lot, is like how important the sound design is to the experience of the movie or the video that you're watching. Like it's half of the viewing experience, you know, and it's something that you don't see, you hear it. I gave this a 7 out of 10. All the same reasons you said. I mean, everything you said. Andrew, what did you give it?
So I also gave it a 7 out of 10. I do think like some of the sound is more indicative of the era of the 90s kind of. There's like this thing in the 90s where people embrace and they play like a and it definitely feels cheesy by today's standards, but it didn't by that time period. Some of the gunshots definitely sound different, not as quality as modern gunshots might sound on a more.
I was going to say that I think the gunshots sound better than most movies that came
that
out
time,
around
for
that
sure.
time.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I mean,
You know, like
that.
I feel like movies around that time into the early 2000s were very like cheesy.
And they also had a
sounding,
variety
you know?
of guns, right? The bad guys had like a higher caliber gun. They had little handguns, but then, rockets, you name it.
Right.
He picked up a shotgun at one point. It reminded me of the
Yeah.
video game. I used to play the Bad Boys video game. I think it was on like PlayStation 2 or something.
geez.
Old video games.
Bro.
Yeah. But this movie actually, it won a Grammy it was nominated for a Grammy for Best Original Song created specifically for a movie.
Is that
Yep.
Diddy?
Yep.
Kenneth Babyface Edmonds.
Oh,
for
yeah.
Someone to Love.
Yeah, that was an awesome song. A lot of kids were made to that one. The thing too, like the helicopter, like I hadn't seen a lot of helicopters, so I loved how they handled like the rock music with the helicopter. The first scene when the airplane goes over the stuff. I mean, that's stuff that I watched it in the theater, so way back then.
They had movie theaters
back then. Even the movie theaters didn't have the sound we have today.
It was like a nickel to get in.
Yeah, it was like, oh, wow, Andrew, really, wow. It's funny, but damn.
It's funny, but it hurts.
It stings a little bit, but yeah, it was about. But I mean,
we have to sell our house to go watch a movie nowadays.
I mean, dude, today with Logic, you could probably mix that movie better than they did. Like,
Yeah.
you got to talk about it. That's back before full digital audio.
Yeah.
And they were working with actually recording the guns versus nowadays we just go buy the library.
One of the cameras that they were using though for some of the slow motion shots, 200 frames a second.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the slow motion shots were. I liked it. You know the scene with Will Smith where he's like running to save
Yeah.
Martin Lawrence and he gets there at the last second. I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but when he saved him, when I saw like the completion of their goal, I did think that worked out. The apparently Michael Bay wanted him to be fully shirtless in that scene, but like Will Smith was like, meet me halfway. I don't want to be fully shirtless, and so he's just wearing an unbuttoned shirt.
Back then, he wasn't built yet.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Our next category is set and character design. This is out of 5 points.
Set and character design. Well, I think that the one thing that they've benefited from in Bad Boys was the set was already there. Miami's ugly. Sorry, Miami, but it's got a beautiful for filmmaking in the sense it's got graffiti. It's an old place.
Yeah.
It allowed them to have like the tire shot for JoJo and
Edgy.
the beautiful shots in the same place, right? So I don't think they had to do a lot of set design other than maybe the shots where they're shooting up Chet's front desk area. So I'm going to give it like a 3 in the sense that they didn't have to do a ton. It was already there. They lit it. They made it nicer. The police department wasn't anything special.
It's also character design too.
Oh, as far
how
as
they
character design.
built out a character and stuff, and then the set design too. Someone had to pick Miami.
For sure.
like,
I
good
think I
call.
still would keep it at a 3 though, because let's say we just talked about the characters not being fantastic. It really was establishing 2 television stars as future film stars. And so to me, it was like there was no one in the supporting cast that made me go, oh my God, they're the next future thing. It was just like, can't wait to see a sequel probably.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you say that honestly makes me think like, thank God for Bad Boys. If it turned these two like into movie stars, like so if I wouldn't have gotten iRobot or like I Am Legend if it wasn't for Bad Boys,
ID4.
then like I'll lay my head down at this movie's altar if that's the case.
I mean, Will Smith says it's what established him for the first time. He was a skinny little runt. It's the first movie he was a little bit built, and people saw him as a sex symbol. I guess you could say.
They worked that angle for his character too. For like talk about character design, like
boy.
They really had him panned out for, which they kind of hit the nail. I think maybe too many times almost with a hammer with that, with her being like, man, Mike is so smooth. Like I couldn't even be in a room with Mike right now.
Could you imagine what he's doing with his wife?
I was like, I know she was like, I guess she's playing him because she was suspicious already.
Yeah.
I was like, man, calm down. Calm down, girl.
Feel all the dents.
Tiger, easy.
Feel all the dents in the bed. Yeah, that's from this right here.
Apparently, I think that was an improv part too.
I'm sure it was.
It was so funny. His response. He's like,
you
yeah,
don't want
that's
this.
my partner up on the wall. He's like, I got him up there for every time he saved my life. He's got the same thing at home. It's like a shrine. He's like, I gotta change the damn drapes in here.
Yeah, you don't want none of this.
That was so, the dents. You didn't feel the dents in the bed. It's me getting down.
Neil, for set and character design, I agree with you. I also gave it a 3. Andrew?
You guys aren't gonna believe this. I rated it higher than you. I gave it a 3.5. Rated it higher than both you guys.
And the podcast.
Mine.
First time he's gone higher than both of us.
I feel the same way that you did. That Miami was a very important set piecing character in this movie. They even start out with almost Miami getting its own title card with that shot that points up at the sign of Miami as the plane flies in. It's super cool how Miami, and I love when a movie leans into like the style of its area, and you've got people wearing clothes that look like they belong in Miami, and you've got like Miami, you got beaches in the movie, you got them driving like next to the beach, kind of in the opening, which was actually shot in LA, but still really cool. And you've got the cool cars, you've just got a lot of the feeling of Miami in the movie, and I really loved that. Plus it like showed in like in the wardrobe too.
Yeah, they owned it.
Some of it, I mean, I didn't give it like a 4 or a 5 because some of the, like you said, the police station is they're like, they feel like 90s sets, you know, they feel like what maybe like a person who's never been in a police station would draw a police station to look like, that kind of thing. Like it feels like a movie, but you know, it feels like a movie, but it is a movie. So it's kind of cool to get to watch those movies, because it's like, that is where our ideas of things come from, you know?
Our last category, Neil, is rewatchability. This is out of 5 points. So if I were to ask you 5 times, how many times would you say yes to rewatching this movie?
I've seen this movie over 100 times. It's a 5.5 on rewatchability. I've watched the scale. I've watched it. Having seen all the more newer versions of it, I still watch that old one every time it's on TV. I do it on a random Saturday because, again, it takes me back to great times. I love the 90s. I was in graduating high school, early college in the 90s. I love 90s hip hop. So that movie just keeps placing me in a good place. So for me, 5.5.
Yeah.
Very nice.
See, that's definitely where the score deserves to come in strong, I think. Yeah. Like there's all these other categories are objective, and then this one should be super subjective.
Yeah, definitely. We all have those movies that's like, no matter what, I'm watching that movie.
Dude, I love most movies that people hate, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Andrew, what do you have this one at? I know you haven't seen this movie as many times as Neil or even I. So what would you say?
So I'm sorry to your movie.
Is it a 1?
I put it.
Is it 0?
Okay. I put it at,
just recovering from the 5-cent entry ticket.
I put it at a 1 out of 5, but only because if you ask me the 5 times, the other 4 times I would say, can we just watch Bad Boys 2 instead?
Okay.
I like
Bad Boys 2.
Fair.
I like Bad Boys 2. We have to come back and talk about that one day.
Yes, definitely.
Johnny Tapia.
I gave rewatchability a 3 out of 5. So more times than not, yeah, sure, I'll throw it on.
Exactly, perfectly spaced apart.
You can watch it if you're having a beer and you're bored. You know?
This brings my score to a 6.8. Neil's, yours came out to a 7.2.
I'm curious, did you count him as a 5.5 or a 5?
A 5.
You can give it a 5. Yeah.
A 5.
I was curious.
Yeah.
You're welcome,
Kept
Will
it on
Smith.
the scale.
I would have let you break the scale, but Aaron likes
Take my $20 now, Will
Sorry.
Smith.
Sponsored. My score came out to a 5.9.
5.9.
I forgive you both.
Hey, mine and yours aren't too far off.
I feel like this on the podcast all the time, the way you feel, because when I try to show Aaron like Django Unchained, he's like, yeah, that movie's like a 6.9.
Oh, wow. Violence ensues. Dude, this is just a fun ride.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like it's a ride at Universal. I hope they don't ever cancel this ride. It's a great ride. And, you know, that's how I feel about Bad Boys.
Yeah. We don't have to go too far in detail, but what did you feel about the other films? Bad Boys 2 and Bad Boys for Life.
I really liked Bad Boys for Life. I thought I was going to hate it because it's been so long in between them.
It's been so long. It's a different director.
I
Sometimes
felt like I was worried about the 2 directors they picked too, you know, I was just worried. But honestly, I like them all. Like you keep going to number 2. Number 2 is super stylistic too. Like, so they're each kind of individual based on the bad guy. And I love how they stick to that. But Bad Boys for Life, I remember walking out going, they just reset this entire franchise. They can continue to go. If they got rid of Will Smith and Martin, they could still go with that other team.
Okay.
If they really, I felt like they could have if they wanted to. But I think they're making another one, if I'm not mistaken.
They are.
So I'm happy as many as they can give me, you know, because I'm a huge fan.
Which it was hilarious when Will Smith announced that they were doing another one, because he was like, Bad Boys 4, Life. Oh, shoot. We already did that. We kind of messed that up, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, you can see they're a little older. Martin had a stroke or whatever, but I think that Will still did a great job of carrying it. You know what I'm saying?
Martin Lawrence had a stroke?
Yeah, that's why he couldn't really improv.
So I didn't know that either until Neil said it last week when we were talking about this. I haven't seen Bad Boys for Life yet. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Back, bro.
And I'm sad to hear that. I love Martin Lawrence. That was a shock to me. Had not heard that. I mean,
he doesn't run in it. He doesn't fight in it.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Blue Streak?
Slurs a little bit when he. Oh yeah.
It's a good. Isn't that a good movie,
bro? Like asking me if I saw Batman.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he's still part of the franchise. Though.
No, yeah, and I think, you know, like I said, time, and I think he had also gained a lot of weight at the time. There was a lot going on with his health, and so I think that Will Smith did a good job. And I like the character of I didn't like that they went to the son, that's his son. That was kind of a weird thing, but I liked the way they fought. I think I don't know. I just feel like it was another good ride, right? Like, ooh, it was a great ride. I'll get back on that again.
Yeah, and that's hard to do so many years later from the first, too.
Like 20 something years.
Yeah,
later.
to be able to capture like the essence of the originals, like that's tough. And I think another movie that did that well is like Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
You know, like
masterfully.
It's not easy to do that. And it's not even like it's a remake. It's like within
But
the
it's
same
because
world.
the actor, right? Tom Cruise is still the actor. These two are the guys that created these characters, so they help you keep it going.
Yeah.
Someone like me will forgive a lot of the stuff that's stupid just because it's still them.
Yeah.
Right.
I just hope that they don't push it too far, because I'm a really big fan of Die Hard, and I feel like Die Hard 5 was
like
where they pushed it too far. Yeah. It was just a movie I saw in theaters, and I was like, oh no. But
I'm like that with Fast anything after number one. Like number one and Tokyo Drift, the rest is like, come on, now we're superheroes. Like,
for real.
Don't lose the essence. You know?
we're all on the same page on that one, I think. Fast and the Furious.
I love Bad Boys.
Yeah. What's another one that's like a little bit tired? I just had
Pirates. They've made so many Pirates movies.
Pirates. A lot of movies now are so like, come on, guys.
I was thinking my example was, I was just talking with one of my friends yesterday, is The Boys. So I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but they've had 3 seasons. It's awesome. It's hilarious. It's different, you know, and they're coming out with a season 4, and I really hope it's the last season. You know, like
I already wrapped the story up.
Yeah, I want it to be like, hey, remember The Boys? That show was amazing. Not, hey, remember The Boys? It kind of fell off at the end, you know?
But I'm glad they've kept Bad Boys as a film and no TV adaptation. I don't want to see a Netflix version of Bad Boys.
So far.
Yeah.
Just you wait.
Give it John Wick a TV series. They'll give anything a
See, I
TV
think when you
series now.
do that, it becomes not special anymore. I like that. I only go see Bad Boys in theaters, like right when it first comes out. It's a cool thing. I would die if they put it as a TV show. I think if you don't have those 2 main stars, it's not the same.
I agree. No, I agree.
here.
It's like sometimes it's better just to move on and come up with a new idea. And if you really want to work with Will Smith, like write him a new role.
Amen, brother. I've been saying that forever. Stop messing with classics.
What do you think of I Am Legend 2 coming out?
I'm a little worried.
Same.
Because I really loved the first one and how unique it was.
Yep.
And I don't think we need to go further.
Yeah.
That's one of those, like a Dune 9. Like I love I Am Legend. I felt like it ended, left me in a good place. I think all they could do now is mess it up.
Seems like a stretch to go with your alternate ending that like most people didn't see just to keep your main character alive.
I thought that was weird too.
But I think he's also trying to recapture, come back, and he needs something that was a guaranteed hit.
Before we go to the cars, do you want me to hit all the who's in front of him behind the camera?
Yeah, let's go through that real quick.
Do it.
Okay. So this segment, we normally talk about like everybody behind the scenes first. So who's behind the camera? We've got our director, the legendary Michael Bay. You all know his name, I'm sure. I don't have to hit up his credits, but
Andrew hates on him all the time on this podcast.
I will say live action TMNT and Bad Boys and Transformers, and I feel like that's enough of a rap sheet of like big blockbuster movies. Writers, we've got George Gallo, Michael Bari, and if I'm pronouncing that right, and Jim Mulholland. And then on music, we've got Mark Mancini, who very famous and has a long illustrious career doing music for movies, composing. I think going back to the 70s and 80s, I looked, and in just the year 1995 when this movie came out, how many movies do you think he composed for?
13.
It's actually lower, but I thought 7 was a lot.
10, yeah.
I mean, 7 in a year?
In 1 year, yeah, right? He's got, I
said 10.
dozens.
I said 10 just because you were asking, so I was like,
think
it's
about
gotta be.
scoring a whole film. It takes months.
Yeah, well, and he 7 in 1 single year. I thought that was insane. But cinematography, we have Howard Atheron, who did cinematography for Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Fatal Attraction, and Indecent Proposal. Okay. And then on editing, we've got Christian Wagner, who edited True Romance, Man on Fire, The Suicide Squad, the sequel, and Face Off, which is a movie that I love.
Face Off.
Cinematographer and editor, I think, crushed it on this movie.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And the color correction was kind of born after that. They had the Michael Bay filter, right? Like,
yeah.
so.
You can see it right here. We have a TV in here.
Yeah.
You can see like a certain haze to a certain color, very identifiable. But we'll have to talk about Face Off another time.
Yeah, I like Face Off a lot.
As far as our cast in front of the camera, I just have 5 main people. Obviously, Will Smith is Martin Lawrence Lawrence as Marcus Burnett, Joe Pantoliano as Captain Howard, Teresa Randall. That's so iconic. Teresa Randall as Teresa Burnett, and Taya Leone as Julie Mott.
You can stay with your little girlfriend.
Very nice. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's go ahead and go into our car draft. I put our names into a randomizer to see who goes first, second, and third.
Do it.
Coming in for the first pick of the draft, we have Neil.
What?
Second is going to be me, and then third is Andrew. So the way this will work is it's going to be a snake draft. So Neil will pick, then me, then Andrew, and then we go in reverse. Andrew, me, Neil.
Got it.
And then we'll keep going back and forth until we have 5 cars.
So, you guys shot down every single one of the cars that I wanted to do. However, I looked it up, and the first 1989 Batmobile is a car.
There we go.
So it's always first on my list. It was off of a Corvette chassis, if I'm not mistaken, but it is a fully running car. So that's my first pick for the draft is the 1989 Batmobile.
All right. And then that kicks it over to Aaron.
Yep. I'm going to pick the Mustang from John Wick.
Of course you are.
Ooh, beautiful
It
car.
was it's a Boss 302 Mustang, by the way.
Sure.
Yes.
It's a hot commodity on this draft, and I figured that it would go in the first round.
Yes. I don't. The Mustangs are my favorite car. Got one right here sitting in front of me.
I own one.
They just look so nice.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, man.
Yep.
Love 'em.
Andrew.
So for my first pick, I don't think it's going to be heavily in contention, but my first pick for the car draft is going to be the 2006 Subaru Impreza WRX from Baby Driver.
Oh, that's a good. I like that movie,
Yeah,
man.
I love that movie.
That driving scenes are crazy sexy.
The opening chase, that car is amazing, and I get back-to-back turn.
Yep.
So for my second choice, I'm going to pick the 1961 Ferrari 250 GT California Spider from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, you took one from me. Damn you.
That one I thought would probably maybe be on somebody's list.
E-Race.
It's a really popular one.
One of my favorite movies too.
That's what when I asked you what your favorite
Bueller.
80s movies were, I was thinking Ferris Bueller in my head.
It's probably the one.
All right, we're going fast here. I have for my next pick, I'm going to go with the 1963 Aston Martin DB5 from 64.
On, bro, from Goldfinger?
Yeah.
That's 2 of them on the list. You guys are killing me. Well, since we're talking about Bad Boys, I guess I'll say one of them is the black Porsche from Bad Boys 1. Baby.
I knew you were going to take that one, so I had to leave it on the table for you.
Iconic.
It's the 911 Porsche, right? 911.
911. Mm-hmm.
Aston Martin. We're going so fast. I got to.
Should I go again, or is it you back to you?
no.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Oh, I'm ready. 1986 Cobra, the Mercury Monterey from the movie Cobra, Stallone.
Oh yeah.
Pretty dope car.
These actors like Stallone make some of these cars even cooler too. Just because
that car, I would never look at it if it wasn't in that movie.
The movies that some of these cars are from really build them up for me too.
Absolutely.
But that's going to kick it back to Aaron.
I'm going to go with the 69 Dodge Charger from Dukes of Hazzard.
I knew that had to make
It's a good pick. It's a good pick.
It's iconic.
Man, you never get 2 back-to-back picks. It stinks being you, man.
I know.
All right, so now
But I'm right in the middle, so I get like a good fair share. You know, I like going second.
so it's back to me. So for my third pick in the draft,
Don't do it.
I've got some tough choices on here. I'm going to go with the 1981 DeLorean DMC-12 from Back to the Future.
Dude, really?
What was your second car, Andrew?
The Porsche or the Ferrari from Ferris Bueller.
How many do we have left each, 2?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
you've taken away my whole damn
I still have one more to pick here. Sorry, that's a great movie. Another great movie. I feel we might like a lot of the same movies.
think of a replacement, yeah.
So while you think, I am going to take from Wanted the Dodge Viper SRT10 that Angelina Jolie's character Fox drives.
All right, this dude's got some pretty good taste, bro. You might not want to get rid of him as a co-host.
Well, there's some other like negatives that
No,
come along with this guy. You
I
know,
totally get it.
My list is coming out pretty peak, I gotta say.
Yes.
This is I'm getting what I wanted.
what do I want for my next one?
You take my next one, I'm leaving. because my list is running very low.
Come on, Aaron, be cool. Be a good host.
Man, I'm trying to
Take a
think.
bad car.
I think I'm gonna go with the Mustang from Need for Speed.
Ooh.
Ooh, 2 Mustangs on his list.
Yeah.
Very diverse. I don't know, audience. What do you guys think? Do you like Mustangs that much?
I do.
You said from Need for Speed?
Yeah.
I literally on the way here thought about taking that same car. Not because I wanted it at all, but just
But
cause,
just for-
because I knew
despite
Aaron
me,
wanted
yeah.
it. I knew you'd be upset. I know how much you like that car in Need for Speed.
GT 500.
Ooh, all right. Well, I'm going to go with the 1977 Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am from the movie Bandit.
I still got to watch that movie, but that is a nice car.
The car is beautiful. I saw it at a car show this past weekend. It was amazing. I got one more? Yeah, one more, I think. I'm at 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
One more, but it goes back to me.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Because you just picked one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like things are kind of
I
running
think
thin
he's
here.
supposed to get his last 2.
Actually, I think it's me and the.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But thanks,
My
Alfred.
bad,
Trying
my
to
bad,
steal
my
your
bad.
turn. You saw that?
My bad, my bad, my
I
bad.
just redeemed him for the 5 seconds.
Yeah,
my
and
bad,
he
my bad.
didn't. And he gave up on putting the cars on the screen too.
No, absolutely.
Well, we're going so fast.
So I guess I'll go with the Mustang from the movie Bullet.
Ah, come on, man. I was going for a Mustang.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You don't got the Mustang team anymore.
Yeah.
No.
I had 2 Mustangs on my list. I don't know if I'm gonna end up picking any.
Okay, my turn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stick with the Mustang theme. I know I have one on here that's not Mustang, but I'm gonna go with a GT 500 again, but an older version, Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah.
Really?
Eleanor.
Yeah, you're going with 1967 Shelby GT 500 Mustang. I know that because it's on my list. Oh man, that is a really good movie. And I feel like it's underrated and not.
Okay,
and
my
like
list is done.
that's another Angelina Jolie
stealing.
movie too.
Yep.
All right, so that leaves me with the last car pick.
Yep.
All right, a lot
And
of good.
Herbie the Love Bug does not count.
I will not pick Herbie. It did come up in my research. Can I go for a little bit of a wild card pick?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna pick the NASCAR from Talladega Nights,
Almost took one of mine.
sponsored by Ricky Bobby himself with
sir.
the Cougar. There's a Cougar in the car.
I had Days of Thunder on my list. I thought you were going to take that.
All right, Neil, you went first. So if you want to go ahead and read off all 5 of the cars that you got on your team.
In Espanol. Okay,
Spanish this
the best car ever made on the planet, the Batmobile. The black Porsche from Bad Boys 1. The 1986 Cobra. It's actually a Mercury Monterey, 1950s model. A 1977 Smokey and the Bandit Firebird Trans Am. And the Bullet Mustang.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
My list, I have John Wick 69 Ford Mustang Mach 1. My favorite Mustang that there is. I have the 63 Aston Martin from James Bond. Got the 69 Charger from Dukes of Hazzard. Mustang GT 500 from Need for Speed. And the GT 500 from Gone in 60 Seconds. Andrew?
My list of cars that I drafted contains the Subaru Impreza WRX from Baby Driver, the Ferrari from Ferris Bueller, the DeLorean from Back to the Future, the Dodge Viper from Wanted, and the NASCAR from Talladega Nights. Ricky Bobby's car.
No one picked a Fast and the Furious car. I thought that would be a gimme.
Oh no, none of us like Fast and the Furious, I guess. None of the 3 of
I
us.
feel like the recent ones have kind of like tarnished the look and feel
No,
of
I thought
the
you guys
car,
would
you
feel
know?
from like the original.
Yeah.
I figured somebody would say the Supra. Or
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh man,
Not a bad pick.
It is pretty cool when they supercharge up that car.
Yeah.
Him and Vin Diesel in the first one. Like,
Yeah.
it is a good. The first one's good.
I mean, isn't it really cool when they supercharge it to go in space too? I mean, come on.
I don't know why they even need to supercharge it. They should have just had Vin Diesel like throw it up there.
It's called Elon Musk.
Family in a force field goes around it.
Wow.
That has to be the movie franchise that we hate on the most on this
Oh, for
podcast.
sure. The second place would be leagues below it for whoever we roast the
Yeah,
second.
I don't
place.
even have a second franchise in mind that we.
It's only one I
It's so
can't
fun.
stand.
It's got to be the Flash.
Oh man, you saw the Flash, right?
I did just see the Flash.
What did you think
I
of the
feel like
Flash?
I'm going to be in a room that will stab me because I said I kind of like it.
Oh, Neil.
I didn't love
All
it.
right, podcast over.
I didn't love it, but Batman is in it
Yeah,
by default. It's
yeah.
amazing.
Saving grace, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without that, I don't think I would like it at all.
Yeah, right after this, we're filming a full review on it.
There was a few small things I liked from the Flash side, but not much. It was really just Batman.
Yeah,
Oh, like-
that's such a bad review for a Flash movie.
Yeah.
right.
Hola.
What's up? We have another guest coming in. Hey, Zach.
up,
You're
man?
live on air. Say hello to the fans.
See you on the next video.
See you on the next video.
Is this like Zach jumping timelines right
Yeah,
now?
podcast Inception. The multiverse.
The YouTube
The
multiverse.
fastest man alive.
Another channel.
Zach literally just ran like through one episode into the other.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Neil, thanks so much for
Welcome.
coming on our podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We have a bunch of other topics that we can talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully you'll be.
2 movies we can
Yeah,
talk about.
hopefully we can get you back on. Our schedules can
I'm
sync
game.
up, and we have you on for part 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, sure.
You know, we love
To make
having
Aaron
guests.
watch some older movies.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you gotta watch something that wasn't like 4 weeks ago.
That's fair. That's fair. Pick the movie and we'll watch it.
Yeah. Ooh, you want me to pick it? But I'll be back for sure. This was fun.
Yes, thank you so much.
Glad to have you.
And that's a wrap.